Your dog might be trying to warn you about the person standing right in front of you, but you are likely missing the signs. When we think of a protective dog, we think of the obvious red flags: the deep, rumbling growl, the bared teeth, the aggressive forward bark. But canine psychology operates on a much more sophisticated level. Long before a dog ever resorts to vocalizing, they deploy a secret language of silent defensive protocols. Have you ever noticed a subtle lip flick or a stiffened tail base while your dog meets someone new? These aren't random, meaningless twitches. They are highly calculated micro-expressions of a dog sensing a hidden underlying threat. Dogs see a world of threats that we are completely blind to. While we are distracted by a stranger's polite conversation, pleasant smile, or friendly hand gestures, our dogs are reading something entirely different. They're tracking chemical shifts, biological stress markers, and minute physical anomalies. If your dog suddenly goes completely still or changes their breathing pattern around a specific person, they aren't just being calm, they're guarding you. Today, we are going to break down the 5 nearly invisible behavioral shifts that prove your dog is on high alert. We will examine the imperceptible shift in a dog's weight, the rhythmic slowing of their breath, and the architecture of the protective stance. By learning to decode these 5 silent signals, you will understand exactly what your dog is trying to tell you before they feel forced to take overt action to protect you. Let's look at the science behind your dog's biological radar. The very first warning sign happens entirely below the surface. It is what canine behaviorists call the anatomy of a silent shift. To an untrained human eye, the dog appears to be standing completely still. But if you look closer, you will observe a subtle redistribution of weight. When a dog identifies a potential threat in their immediate environment, they silently lean fractionally forward, centering their gravity. This is not a casual stance. It is a calculated athletic preparation. By lowering their center of mass and shifting their weight onto their front limbs, the dog is bracing for sudden, explosive movement. They're loading their muscles like a spring. If that person makes a sudden, aggressive move toward you, your dog is already physically primed to launch, block, or defend. Simultaneously, you will notice a second, incredibly subtle shift: the rhythmic slowing of their breath. When a dog is excited, happy, or even generally anxious, their breathing tends to be rapid, shallow, or accompanied by panting. But when a dog transitions into a targeted, protective protocol, the panting stops instantly. The mouth closes. The breathing becomes incredibly slow, deep, and measured. Why does this happen? The dog is entering a highly analytical state. By slowing their breath and drawing air deeply through their nasal cavities, they are maximizing their olfactory processing. They are literally absorbing the stranger's scent profile at a microscopic level. They are analyzing the chemical compounds of the person's sweat, tracking the presence of adrenaline and cortisol, the hormones human bodies release when they harbor malicious intent, anger, or extreme deception. These physical anchors, the weighted stance and the rhythmic, deep breathing, serve as the foundation for the invisible defensive perimeter your dog is beginning to establish around you. They have quietly locked on to the target. As the dog establishes their physical anchor, their face will begin to display micro-expressions. These cues last only a fraction of a second, making them incredibly easy to miss. This brings us to sign number 2, decoding microfacial cues. The most prominent of these expressions is the fleeting lip flick or tongue flick. Many owners see a dog lick its lips and assume, oh, they want a treat, or they are just being submissive. But context is everything in canine psychology. If your dog is interacting with a specific individual and they perform a rapid, repetitive tongue flick without any food present, this indicates intense internal tension. It is a displacement behavior. The dog is processing a high level of psychological stress regarding the person in front of them, evaluating whether this individual poses a direct danger to their pack. Next, look directly at their eyes. You will notice what behaviorists refer to as the hard stare. When a dog is in a friendly social mindset, their eyes are soft, blinking frequently and scanning the environment naturally. But when they sense a hidden threat, Their eyes fixate on the person of interest without blinking. This unblinking stare is designed to track every single micro-movement the stranger makes. Your dog is watching the stranger's hands, their shoulder alignment, and their distance relative to you. They are looking for the slightest cue of physical escalation. While the eyes are locked, look at the base of their ears. You will observe a slight, tense flattening of the ear base. This is fundamentally different from a dog flattening its ears completely back in fear. This is a subtle tightening of the muscles at the crown of the head. It signals a definitive psychological transition. Your dog has officially moved from curious engagement to high alert monitoring. They have stopped trying to be friendly, and they have started assessing the stranger as a potential adversary.
Perhaps the most misunderstood element of canine communication is the tail. We have all been taught that a wagging tail means a happy dog, but this misconception can be incredibly dangerous. Sign number 3 is the architecture of the protective stance, and it begins at the tail base. When a dog is trying to protect you from someone, they will often exhibit a stiffening of the tail base, even if the tip of the tail continues to wag. To the untrained eye of a stranger, that little movement at the tip looks like friendliness. They might even reach out to pet the dog, saying, "Look, his tail is wagging." But the dog's psychology is telling a completely different story. A stiff, high, or vibration-like wag at the base of the tail indicates high arousal, dominance, and territorial defense. The dog is issuing a silent, visual boundary line. As the tail stiffens, watch how the dog positions their body. Without any overt growling, barking, or pulling on the leash, the dog will smoothly and purposefully step directly between you and the individual. They are creating a physical buffer zone. They are using their own mass as a shield. In the world of professional protection dogs, this is an advanced, trained behavior. But in our companion dogs, it is a deeply embedded primal instinct. By placing themselves in the middle, they are forcing the stranger to interact with you first, effectively neutralizing the stranger's direct path to you. During this positioning, examine the stillness of the hackles. Many people believe a dog is only protective if the fur along their spine, the piloerection, stands completely on end. But a highly confident, naturally protective dog may not raise their hackles at all. Instead, the fur remains flat, while the massive muscle groups underneath lock completely into a state of total readiness. This is the ultimate quiet guard. The dog is completely stabilized, balanced, and prepared to intercept a threat at a millisecond's notice, all while remaining entirely quiet. When a dog enters this defensive protocol, their relationship with the surrounding world changes instantly. This brings us to sign number 4, environmental awareness and redirection. Under normal circumstances, dogs are easily distracted. A passing bicycle, a stray cat, a rustling leaf, or another dog barking down the street will usually cause them to turn their head. But when your dog identifies someone they perceive as a direct threat to your safety, an intense tunnel vision sets in. They will completely ignore familiar distractions, food rewards, or nearby animals. Their focus becomes entirely singular. You could wave their favorite toy in front of their face, and they won't look at it. This hyper-focus is a massive psychological indicator. It proves that the human standing before them has triggered their survival instincts, overriding all secondary desires for play, exploration, or food. Yet, even within this intense tunnel vision, you will notice a highly sophisticated behavior, the checkback. While monitoring the stranger, your dog will briefly, almost imperceptibly, glance up at your face to gauge your comfort level. They're reading your micro-expressions. They're checking to see if your pupils are dilated, if your jaw is clenched, or if your heart rate has increased. Because of the profound evolutionary bond between humans and dogs, your dog can feel the chemical changes in your body when you feel uncomfortable or unsafe. If they check back and detect fear or unease in your energy, it reinforces their belief that the stranger is dangerous, and they will immediately return to their watchful guard. If the stranger continues to approach, or if your internal anxiety rises, the dog will transition into purposeful pacing or blocking.
They will use their body to actively redirect your path away from the suspicious individual. They might lean heavily against your shins, walk in a tight circle around your legs, or gently herd you backward. They aren't being clumsy, and they aren't trying to trip you. They are tactically guiding their pack leader away from a hot zone. They are giving you a physical command, begging you to put distance between yourself and the hidden danger. To fully utilize your dog's natural radar, you must understand sign number 5, interpreting the silent protocol. This means learning how to distinguish between general canine anxiety and targeted protection. A dog reacting out of general anxiety or fear will display scattered, chaotic energy. They will tremble, tuck their tail completely between their legs, look around wildly for an escape route, or snap defensively at anything that moves. Their reaction is generalized to the environment, but targeted protection is incredibly specific. It is directed solely toward one person's energy, presence, and movement. The dog's posture is controlled, their mind is sharp, and their actions are completely deliberate. They aren't afraid for themselves. They are acting as a sentinel for you. This targeted response is made possible by a long-term psychological bond that allows dogs to sense chemical anomalies in a stranger before that person even speaks a single word. When a human intends to cause harm, lies, or experiences a spike in predatory aggression, their autonomic nervous system triggers a micro-sweat response. This floods their skin with specific pheromones, adrenaline byproducts, and cortisol spikes. We can't smell it, we can't see it, but to your dog's advanced olfactory system, that person is practically screaming their intentions. Your dog is reading a biological blueprint of threat before the person even takes a step toward you. When you learn to identify these 5 subtle signs, the weight shift, the deep slowing of breath, the microfacial cues, the structural protective stance, and the tactical redirection, you gain access to a profound level of communication with your canine companion. You stop viewing your dog as just a pet, and you begin to respect them as a highly sophisticated, biologically advanced protector. The next time you're out in public and you notice your dog deploying these silent defensive protocols around someone new, do not ignore it. Do not scold them or force them to interact with that person. Your dog is trying to tell you something that your own human senses have missed. Trust their biology. Trust their radar. By applying these observations in your everyday life, you will strengthen the psychological bond between you and your best friend, creating a partnership built on mutual trust, clear communication, and ultimate safety. Has your dog ever given you a silent warning about someone that turned out to be completely right? How does your dog show you they are on high alert? Let us know your stories in the comments below. We read and respond to every single one. If this deep dive into canine defense psychology helped you decode your dog's secret language, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel to unlock more secrets of the complex, beautiful canine mind. Thank you for watching, and keep listening to your dog.